After a long wait, we have finally entered the early stages of version 3.4, which brings us some exciting new characters, one of which is Phainon, who has a unique kit. His ultimate ability features an incredibly cool animation, allowing him to transform and create a territory that causes all his teammates to leave the battle, leaving Phainon alone. Even though he will be alone on the field, he still receives buffs from his teammates, and the effects won't disappear until Phainon exits transformation mode. Pretty cool, right? Can Phainon's arrival challenge and replace the current best DPS for the meta? So without further ado, I'm Hoyostation and we're diving straight into the ultimate guide for Phainon version 3.4. Let's do this. Do you have a character or weapon in the game that you really want but you don't have enough stellar jades? Here is a smarter way to recharge your favorite games like Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. Look no further than Lootbar. Lootbar is the most reliable top-up platform. It saves up to 23% for all orders compared with the official channel, and it provides an 80% off for your first purchase. It's 100% safe as you will only be using your UID. We will buy pack for 3000 stellar jades for $42, which otherwise would have costed $50, totally saving $7.5. We received the crystals we purchased in the less than 3 minutes. All recharges will be done through the official channel with miHoyo, which allows you to enjoy all top-up offers. Ready to level up your gaming experience? Check the link in the description to get the amazing discount. As usual, before we dive deeper into his kit, we will first discuss his base stats. Phainon is a physical type character with the destruction path who has slightly higher base HP than characters with similar paths and types, namely Yunli at 1436 points. However, it's important to note that he is a character with scaling damage from attack, meaning he relies more on attack than other stats like HP. Okay, moving on to his base attack, Phainon has 582 points, which is slightly lower than Saber, another character with the same path, by approximately 20 points. One interesting aspect here is that Phainon's base defense is quite high, at 703 points. This high base defense will be useful for him during the ultimate mode, which causes other teammates to leave the field. Oh yeah, one other thing that sets him apart from other characters is that he has an ultimate energy of 12 points, which is a unique ultimate stack, similar to Castris, Akron, and Phainon. Alright, first we will go into the ultimate section first, which is called He Who Bears the World Must Burn. If we take a closer look at the effects of his ultimate, this kit is certainly very beneficial for Phainon himself. He can inflict physical weakness on all enemies as long as his territory is still active, which means we can automatically use Phainon to fight enemies who do not have physical weakness. Although enemies do not experience changes in resistance, this is still useful, especially for certain modes like Apocalyptic Shadow. The key point lies in the special turn mechanic, which is the newest mechanic, and so far in this game, no other character besides Phainon has a special turn, causing all teammates to be affected by a new effect called Departed, where teammates will leave the field, leaving Phainon alone. Similar to what happens in Apocalyptic Shadow 3.2, where when fighting Hule, we enter a duel mode where only one character in the team can be on the field to fight him. Additionally, the damage dealt as the final hit from this ultimate ability has an extremely high damage multiplier of 960%, which is a massive scaling effect. An important note about this ultimate ability is that all teammates except Phainon will enter Departed mode, rendering them completely unable to act until Phainon's territory disappears. Next, we will discuss his talent, which has two versions, the normal version and the version when he transforms. The first version, called Pyrocorpus, has a pretty interesting effect, guys. Basically, this talent provides information on how to obtain core flame stacks, which are useful for activating his ultimate. One thing I need to mention is that core flame stacks can only be obtained if Phainon is the target, whether through teammates or enemy attacks. For example, skills and ultimates from Tengyun, skills and ultimates from Sunday, skills and ultimates from Bronya, and enemy attacks will each grant one core flame whenever Phainon is the target of any ability. As for the second version, named Fate, Divine Vassal, which is Phainon's talent when he is in transformation mode. It activates when Phainon uses his ultimate and enters transformation mode, immediately granting 4 Scourge points to maximize the damage of his enhanced skills. Interestingly, while Phainon is in transformation mode, he's immune to crowd control effects, guys. This effect is similar to Mighty's Vendetta mode, which makes him immune to stun effects like imprisonment, freeze, and others. Additionally, Phainon gains an 80% attack boost and a 270% maximum HP boost, enhancing both damage output and durability during the special turn. Furthermore, Phainon does not lose if his HP points reach 0. Instead, he receives a 20% recovery of his maximum HP and immediately delivers a final hit. The damage from the final hit depends on the remaining special turns he has. The more remaining special turns he has, the lower the damage dealt. As an added bonus, it will grant a 15% speed boost to ultimates for 1 turn, which is useful for ensuring ultimates get turns quickly. Okay, now we will move on to the enhanced basic attack and enhanced skill, which can be used when he transforms. And uniquely, he has 2 versions of enhanced skills, each with different uses. His first enhanced basic attack, called Creation Bloodthorn Fairy, deals blast damage to 3 enemies and get 2 Scourge. These Scourge act as special charges and are used to activate his second enhanced skill, named Foundation Star Death Verdict. The Scourge charges remain stored even when Phainon has not yet transformed. These Scourge can be interpreted as special points that can be only used by Phainon in transformation mode, as during this mode only Phainon is present on the field. Next, there are 2 versions of the enhanced skill. The first version is called Calamity Soul Scourge Edict, and there are several interesting points about this enhanced skill, guys. When Phainon activates the skill, Phainon will gain Scourge based on the number of enemies on the field. If there are 5 enemies on the field, Phainon will immediately gain 5 Scourge, which can be used to activate the second version of the enhanced skill, which requires up to 4 Scourge to maximize its effect. After that, Phainon will gain a special stack called Soul Scorch, causing all enemies to act. In Soul Scorch mode, Phainon will receive damage reduction and immediately trigger a counterattack when attacked by enemies. Every time an enemy acts or Phainon performs a counterattack, Phainon will gain 1 stack of Soul Scorch. At first glance, Phainon's counter mechanic is far more overpowered than Yunli's counter, as this skill forces all enemies to act, which automatically triggers a counterattack. For the next point, the counter damage dealt depends on the number of Soul Scorch stacks Phainon possesses. So the more Soul Scorch stacks he has, the greater the damage from the counterattack. For the final point, the counter damage dealt is considered skill damage, meaning buffs like skill damage increases from blessings in the Divergent universe or set relic effect will enhance the damage of this counterattack. As for the second enhanced skill, named Foundation Star Death Verdict, which features one of the coolest animations, it can be used if you have Scourge. Of course, we can still use this skill even with just 1 Scourge, but we won't receive the significant physical damage bonus of 450%. This of course results in a significant reduction in the total damage of the skill. It's important to note that the 1170% percentage provided is the maximum damage dealt through the skill, which is achieved by using 4 Scourge to activate it. This skill is similar to Danheng Il's enhanced skill, both of which have multiple stages. The difference is that Phainon uses Scourge, which can only be used when Phainon transforms, ensuring that the main skill points are not affected. We will also discuss his basic attack, which deals physical damage to a single enemy. As for his skill called Let There Be Light, it deals blast type physical damage to 3 enemies and grants 2 core flame points. This skill helps Phainon to build up his core flame points, but it's important to note that the damage from his basic attack and skill isn't very high and is more focused on helping to build up the core flame stack. Now we will move on to his technique section, which also has an equally intriguing effect, named Beginning of the End. This technique's effect can increase the maximum technique points by up to 8 points, a feature currently exclusive to Phainon alone. Additionally, it can instantly kill all normal enemies, similar to Acheron's technique, but there's a difference in type. while Phainon can directly defeat all normal enemies within the technique's range. Though using this technique will immediately consume 2 technique points. Furthermore, when entering battle, all teammates will gain 25 energy, and as of the current version, no other character has a similar effect besides Phainon himself. Additionally, upon entering battle, it grants 2 Scourge, which are highly useful for maximizing Phainon's damage output at the start of the battle. Furthermore, we will immediately receive an additional 1 skill point, which is useful for activating the support skill to charge Phainon's ultimate more quickly. Alright, now let's move on to his traces. For minor traces, they provide a 37.3% increase in critical damage, a 12% increase in critical rate, and 5 speed points. So far, Phainon's minor traces are the best minor traces for DPS. Why? These 3 stats are perfectly suited for Phainon, who plays the role of main DPS, especially since the increase in critical rate and critical damage will be very helpful when building this character, as it will be easier to achieve a balanced critical value. As for the first trace named Shine with Valor, it has a very interesting effect because according to the trace's description, the duration of the attack buff it provides is not specified, so this effect will persist throughout the battle. The total buff provided can reach 100%, which is a significant number guys, and it remains active permanently during the battle. Since we already get 50% attack power upon entering battle, we only need to exit transformation mode once to achieve the maximum stack of this buff. Interesting, right? For the second trace, named Bite in Flames, the effect of this trace requires us to have at least 1 healer or shield character to gain the damage boost from this trace. Additionally, for the energy granting effect through the ultimate ability of Sunday, Huo and Tingyun, they can assist in charging Phainon's ultimate points. However, in the cases of Akron and Fei Xiao, this energy granting effect cannot charge their ultimate points. Nevertheless, in many showcases that have many circulating, many players prefer to use other support characters instead of relying on sustain, as Phainon himself gains healing when attacking enemies in transformation mode. And lastly, the third trace is named March to Oblivion. The effect of this third trace is very straightforward but can assist Phainon in gaining additional core flame points when entering combat and after the transformation mode ends, reducing the need of Phainon's ultimate at the start of the battle and after using the transformation mode. This also accelerates the activation of Phainon's ultimate himself. Alright, after discussing his traces, we will move on to the last part of his kit, which is the EIDOLON section. Honestly, the effects of this EIDOLON are quite interesting. The speed of his special turn was originally 60% of the base speed and can be increased to 84% if we defeat 24 enemies at the maximum limit. This speed boost is extremely useful guys, especially in endgame content with a cycle system, particularly in pure fiction content, which features numerous enemies on the field. However, it's important to note that when facing elites or bosses, ensure they can summon regular enemies to increase the number of enemies defeated, as the speed boost won't be as noticeable if the number of enemies defeated is too low. Additionally, Phainon's damage output will increase due to the significant 50% critical damage boost over 3 turns. The best part is that this effect won't disappear, as all of Phainon's buff effects during transformation mode remain active until he exits the mode. As for the second EIDOLON, it has a very interesting effect. The increase in physical penetration will make the damage dealt during transformation even greater, especially against enemies with high physical resistance. The additional action granted will help Phainon recharge the Scourge used to activate the enhanced skill foundation Star Death Verdict. This effect is considered an additional turn and will not interfere with the turn of his transformation mode. For the fourth EIDOLON, it further increases the damage from the counterattack, where each stack of Soul Scorch increases the damage multiplier of this counterattack skill by 20%. Thus, in total, we gain an additional 80% damage multiplier through this EIDOLON. However, it should be noted that this fourth EIDOLON only increases the damage from the counterattack generated by the first version of the enhanced skill and does not provide benefits for his other kits. As for the final Eidolon effect, it removes the cap on excess core flame points, which previously had a limit of 3 excess core flame points. This means we no longer need to worry about having excess core flame points before using the ultimate. Additionally, we will receive an extra 6 core flame points at the start of the battle, which will accelerate the use of Phainon's ultimate from the very beginning of the battle. Combined with the Foundation Started Verdict's attack, which is Phainon's strongest attack, it will deal an additional 36% true damage of the total damage to the enemy with the highest HP. This will certainly deal significant additional damage to boss or elite enemies, who tend to have very high HP. Alright, in the next section, we will discuss his signature light cone called Thus Burns the Dawn. Directly, the effect of this light cone is very compatible with Phainon's kit, where he gains additional base speed, which is very useful for speeding up his special turn. Until now, we have not had an alternative light cone that increases the user's base speed for the destruction path. Additionally, the damage dealt ignores 18% of the enemy's defense and receives a 60% damage boost when using the ultimate. This damage boost effect is highly compatible with Phainon, who has the highest damage output when using the ultimate. However, there's one drawback to this light cone. It does not provide a critical value status, meaning we must have a relic with more appropriate stats. Anyway, this light cone provides a significant increase in the damage output he produces. Based on the available data, by using this light cone, Phainon gets a drastic increase of 145% compared to other light cones such as on the Fall of an Eon, which makes this light cone very worth having. What do you think, guys? Alright, as usual, we will move on to discussing Phainon's build itself. For the relic set, Phainon has several relic sets that we can use. For the best set, we can use 4-wave Strider Captain sets, which increase critical damage by 16% and also provide 48% attack power for one turn after he becomes the target of a teammate's ability at least 2 times. As I mentioned earlier, Phainon will rely heavily on support abilities that target Phainon, maximizing the effects of this relic set. Additionally, while the attack boost duration is only 1 turn, it's important to note that Phainon's turn in transformation mode is a special turn that does not reduce the duration of his buffs. For the best planar ornament, you can use Arcadia of Woven Dreams, which increases the user's damage and memo sprite based on the number of teammates on the field. Each additional or missing teammate increases the damage by 9% or 12% up to a maximum of 4 or 3 stacks. The stacks from this relic can be maximized if there are 8 teammate targets on the field or 1 teammate on the field. Since Phainon can make all teammates leave the field through his territory, he can maximize the effects of this planar ornament. Anyway, here are the recommended stats you can use, guys. So what about the light cone suitable for Phainon? The main one is his signature light cone, Thus Burns the Dawn, which increases Phainon's base speed and damage output when using his ultimate. However, if you don't plan on using his signature light cone, you can use the light cone on the Fall of an Eon, which can be obtained for free through the Herta shop. This light cone provides significant increase in attack and damage, making it highly useful for most DPS characters with the destruction path, including Phainon. It can also serve as a free-to-play option for those who wish to save resources for other characters. Finally, we come to the last part of this video, which is about teammates that are compatible with Phainon. As you know, Phainon is a destruction character with a unique ultimate activation mechanism, where he must be target of an ability from either a teammate or an enemy. The first character that is very compatible with Phainon is Sunday. Sunday is a support character who can provide numerous buffs through his skills and ultimate ability. Sunday can grant buffs such as increased damage, critical rate, critical damage, energy recharge, and 100% boost to advanced actions, allowing your Phainon to perform actions immediately. Additionally, the energy recharge provided by Sunday's ultimate ability also increases Phainon's core flame points thanks to his trace named Bite in Flames. The next character to benefit from Phainon's arrival is Tingyun. As we know, since Sunday's introduction in version 2.7, Tingyun has become less commonly used because Sunday can provide more buffs than Tingyun. Tingyun herself can provide attack buffs and additional lightning damage to one teammate. Additionally, her ultimate ability can increase damage and energy for one teammate. With this, Phainon has two abilities that can target teammates, just like Sunday. This is also why Phainon can be used alongside Sunday to maximize the charging of Phainon's ultimate ability. The next character that you all already have is none other than Bronya. Like Phainon, Bronya has been largely abandoned and is only used in teams like Phainon with no sustain. The main reason is once again due to the presence of Sunday, who can provide advance forward and other benefits that Bronya does not offer. However, with Phainon's presence, you can use Bronya alongside Sunday with a -1 speed build, allowing your Phainon to gain 3 consecutive turns. The next character that can be paired with Phainon is Wukong. As we know, Wukong is a support character that can boost attack, critical damage, and critical rate for the entire team. However, she has a major weakness. Her skill's duration depends on each teammate's turn, including Wukong herself, making the buff duration provided by Wukong very short. But with Phainon, who does not reduce buff duration while in transformation mode, Wukong can be used as an alternative if you don't have other characters or are using them in another team composition. Alright guys, that's all for now. What do you think about Phainon? Do you plan to pick him up in version 3.4? Feel free to leave any comments down below. And don't forget to check out my other videos because they are just as cool. Thanks for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video.